And now I'm happy to introduce the woman herself, Lucy Edwards. Lucy has had a long career in the real estate marketing industry. She launched her company, Edberg Real Estate Marketing, in 2002 and joined OBO in 2013, moved to Vizzy Media Solutions, and finally became a part of VHT Studios last fall. Lucy is the first person in our company to focus 100% on agent success in marketing their listings. So we're so happy to have her, and welcome, Lucy.
Thank you so much. And I promise VHT Studios is my last stop. I'm so happy here. I have the best job in the whole wide world. And thank you, Kate. I am super excited to be here today and to spend the next 30 minutes with you. This week we have an amazing panel of experts joining us in the conversation of how agents can really leverage their time with a photographer at the photo shoot, and how you can get the most out of the appointment and overall investment in the professional photography. And we all know that professional photography is the base of your marketing strategy. It's the foundation, and you cannot survive without it. So let's meet our panel. Elizabeth Harper, platinum photographer from Chicago. And we have Miranda Cruz Bonnell, platinum photographer from Miami, Florida. Kirk McVeigh, a platinum photographer from Des Moines, Iowa. A very exciting moment, and just very excited to have you here. And so welcome everybody. And before we get started, we would like to learn a little bit about each of you. So Elizabeth, let's start with you. What do you like to shoot and to do outside of your real estate photography?
Well, underwater photography for one. That's something new that I started doing a few years back. But I love to shoot structures and buildings and things like that, but I also love to shoot nature. And underwater has been a whole new kind of creative avenue. It's kind of like being on another planet. The type of marine life that you see and the encounters with, sharks, apex predators, crocodiles, things like that. It's just like a world that many people can maybe dream about doing, but they don't always do it. And what I love to be able to do is capture, these beautiful animals and kind of show them in a different light, almost like educate about the importance of, a great white shark or, things like that are terrifying to people. But, like I did a whole series of, with the sharks and also spiders, which I have awful arachnophobia, but it helped people. They would look at it and they'd say, oh my God, I'm terrified of sharks. I would, but something about this is really beautiful, and that, I just feel like that's where you make a breakthrough, to kind of help people see things differently.
You got it. Being a scuba diver myself, I've been diving for 25 years and even had an opportunity to dive with bull sharks. So that is amazing. And I remember you mentioned something that one is Shark Lucy, isn't she?
Lucy is that's actually Ropey.
Oh, okay.
Lucy's the one with the fin, and then there's also another one with all the scars.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really cool to be able to see these, and they have names and stories of where they got, their names and things like that. But yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Miranda, and what about you? What is your hobby?
My hobby, I like to explore around my neighborhood and around Florida and travel a little bit, and I like photographing things that are a little bit kind of creepy, but kind of whimsical. And I love different color treatments and stuff like that on my photography that I take outside of real estate. Something that just kind of creates a strange mood or a happy mood, or brings up some sort of emotion in a way. A lot of my hobby photography is done with iPhone because when I shoot, it's really from the hip and I don't always have my camera. So you'll see like a lot of like iPhone photography is some of my favorite shots. And that's simply because of availability for things that are happening on the fly when you're just out, you know, living life as a tourist, explorer, neighborhood person, whatever.
Oh, that is a great shot. I just love the setting and the vision of it.
Yeah, that
So
one's from
thank
up
you.
here on the West Coast. Just one guy walking all by himself.
Very nice. Awesome. So Kirk, what about you?
Well, when I'm not taking pictures, I'm usually out taking pictures. I like to sort of do abstracts and just, again, like Miranda, kind of exploring my environment. A lot of these pictures here are pictures that I enter the Iowa State Fair Photography Salon each year. And 5 out of the 6 years I've entered, I've exhibited work and won a second place ribbon in 2017. So it's lots of fun to do it and sort of collect the photos and put them in the show.
Very nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous.
All right, so let's hop into some questions here. Let's talk about home prep. When it comes to prepping a home for a photography shoot, how big of a role does that play in the success of the overall shoot and kind of the end product of the photos? Elizabeth, I want to know your thoughts on that and kind of your philosophy behind home prep and what you tell your agents and what you talk to your clients about.
Thank you, Kate. So with home prep, it definitely was a trial and error, you know, like a learning curve. And then once I realized the importance of it, and all the agents that work with me know that I'm a very hardball, I guess we shouldn't have obscenities, I would say hard ass, but I'm very strict about, you know, the importance of prep because, I mean, we do have a COVID prep, you know, for safety and things like that. But before that, I have a list that I send out to everyone, and it's all about creating negative space, which will give us the best opportunity to make it look, you know, big and beautiful. One thing that I explain is that, you know, when we're shooting, you know, if we have to stop and like move something off the counter, I mean, occasionally, you know, there's things here and there, but, you know, as a continuous thing, if we're moving things off the counter or moving a human out of the way, you know, it really interrupts the creative process. And so I explained to them, okay, well, this is sort of my kind of requirements and my protocol. And I give them a choice. I'm like, well, you know, if you'd like to do it this way, you know, I'm probably not the photographer to work with, just because I know from doing this for so long, like what it takes for it to look the best. And in my opinion, for it to look the best, the prep is the absolutely most important. So.
Cool. And I'm curious too, just to know a little bit about your background. Have you always been into photography, and how did you kind of find the real estate world?
I got confused because there's a poll that just popped up. Are we supposed to do that?
Oh no, that's for audience.
Gotcha. I actually, yeah, I grew up, my dad had a dark room in my house growing up. So I was, you know, always hanging out in the dark room and making prints and, you know, stained with developer and fixer and everything else. And I just always liked, I had one of those little, you know, flash cube cameras. I would take pictures anytime I'd go to camp, and they weren't, you know, anything exceptional, but it was still just, you know, playing with the different tools. And then, yeah, I continued doing photography. I was just always kind of doing it creatively. And then years ago, I decided that I wanted to make it my career. So I got trained technically, you know, so I could learn, you know, everything from the beginning with film. I'm really dating myself right now saying that, but so yeah, I I do this for a job, but then I also make photographic art that I sell as well. So I guess everything I do is pretty much photography related.
That's very cool. It's cool when you find your passion and can actually make a career out of it. I think that's everybody's goal in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lucy.
Well, there is, it's a common phrase with our agents when they say, photographer is part of my team. And every successful agent has a team. They have a team of mortgage and title and everything that are stagers. And photography is one of the most important directions of marketing strategy. So Miranda, how do you cultivate those relationships and build that trust with your client?
Well, when I first start working with a client, I think one of the first things I do to kind of, first of all, ease their initial stress of working with somebody new by showing them some of my prior work, just so they can see a final product and know that what we're looking at when we're previewing pictures through the lenses and what they're gonna see, that always kind of like gives them that like initial foot in the door to start to trust me initially. And then, I like to walk through the couple photo shoots with them and kind of involve them in the process. And eventually they start to trust me and let me do my thing. And then they start to value me as a team member because now like they know my role. I play it very well. They can count on me for it when it's my time to come up. And then just building off of that, I think like sharing each other, following each other on social media and sharing each other's, photos and things back and forth. It just kind of builds a team that, you can count on in even like beyond the job kind of a way, you know what I mean? Like not just as their photographer, but also somebody who might plug them in on social media or like, refer them out to somebody else as well. So I think that there's, a lot of opportunity to build trust and teamwork, but it can happen really quickly. And it's all about involving them and making sure that they're in the know and understand my job just as much as I do.
Oh, that is great. That's exactly what it should be. It should be a teamwork, and it should be that trust between you and the agent, who should trust you to do the best job ever, because that is your direction and that is your profession, and we should all stick to what we do best, right? What about you? How did you start your real estate photography?
I got into real estate photography a couple of years after I started picking up photography professionally. I always kind of did it as a hobby, which is I think where most photographers start. And then we realized how valuable our skills can actually be in certain industries. And I realized that through a couple of my friends back in about 2008, 2009, when the market started really hurting and people were getting foreclosed on. I had friends that were not only realtors, but also worked at banks that were hiring me to shoot foreclosure properties left and right. And, as a beginning photographer, I not only identified that as a consistent stream of income, which is extremely important to somebody who's self-employed, but I also liked it because I had a lot of freedom. And you might not think so because it's like four walls, but you have a lot of creative freedom to square up something, and some places are challenging and you want to like get that good shot. And I just started to really enjoy it. So I picked up a little bit more, shooting spaces on the interior design level, architecture level, and also real estate, which I started to love it. So it all started back then.
I'm sure it can be
a beautiful thing now.
very creative. Yeah, creative approach, and that's the talent.
All right. So as photographers, you really get to see firsthand how all different types of agents work and approach all these different unique properties. So in your opinion, what's the thing that sets the most successful agents that you've worked with apart kind of from all the rest? Miranda, what's your perspective on that one?
I think the first and foremost is an agent that knows that it's important to have like a professional take their pictures for listings. In addition to that, I think it also comes into, having a place ready, being proactive and asking questions. If your photographer is not being proactive with you, like, you should have a few, an agent should have a few questions or a professional moving forward into a photo shoot, that to me shows that somebody's proactive and they want like this to come out good, and that's a good agent. Because I do show up sometimes and I can tell that somebody doesn't care because nothing's been touched. And then sometimes I get to a shoot and an agent's been there for an hour and a half sweating it out, getting a place ready, and I'm like, that's a good agent. Like, that's a successful agent, because I know they're not only putting that work in for a photo shoot, they're putting it in for marketing beyond the photo shoot. And, you know, that's just something, I think that little extra effort there really shows me the difference between like an agent that's looking forward to success and an agent that might sit on a listing for a long time because they wouldn't put in that extra little effort for not only photos, but, you know, other aspects of the industry.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you agree with that, Elizabeth? Do you have anything to add or any other insights into that?
Yeah, just exactly what Miranda was saying. But I think consistency is so important for their, you know, for their brand, you know, I mean, it's like they should always sort of keep that same consistent look for quality. And yeah, the importance of, you know, meeting with the sellers. I mean, I've had some agents will text me some pictures that they took with their phone. And now with the, you know, the phone, you can like do little markups. And I just like went through and I circled all the stuff that they should take out. And it, you know, maybe it's a little time consuming on my end, but it shows that they really care. And they want it to look the best that it can. But yeah, I definitely think that for sure the, you know, just the overall understanding how the importance of prep is and listening to, you know, what suggestions could help that. Got to leave the ego. Ego's not the amigo, right? So yeah.
I like that saying. And Kirk, do you have anything more to add about what you've seen the super successful agents and the agents who are selling properties faster and more?
I think Miranda and Elizabeth covered it pretty much. It's like really it just comes down to knowing the real importance and the value of professional photography.
Do you get resistance from the seller sometimes? Like, I still live here, don't touch my stuff?
Not really. I don't see that much. Like usually homeowners, if you know, if the agent's not there, the homeowner is really eager to move whatever. Tell me what to move, you know, what looks best. They're really relying on us when we show up.
That's great.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And
So,
Kirk, what did you, sorry, you go ahead, Lucy.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so today's market is very different from 6 months ago. And Kirk, what have you seen happening in the current market? And what about your clients? What are they saying when you are in a photo shoot together?
I've been seeing a lot of 3D tours, Matterport. Those are popular because just being able to walk through the house 24/7, do showings. Also been doing video walkthroughs because those are kind of like, with the Matterport, you have to move your way through it. With a walkthrough, it's just sort of self-guided in a sense. Aerial video and stills are popular. But everyone's just really liking sort of the variety that we're able to produce lately.
So you would say that, would you say that lately you have more products per listing besides photography?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, so I think that's exactly what's happening, at least what we have been noticing, that all orders escalated from photography to at least 2 or 3 products. And everyone, I guess, is preparing for another wave or whatever it is, but just in case we have, I noticed that agents are really getting involved and securing their listings with the right marketing strategy. So that is fantastic. And actually, Miranda mentioned something about Florida. Right, Miranda? The other day we were talking about it, how you noticed with the condos moving around, and how actually you are busier than you were before, right?
Yeah, actually, I think with the whole concept of now a lot more of our lives are going to be lived at home for who knows how much longer. A lot of people are being allowed to work from home, etc. We're not going out as much. There's not much to do, whether it's being cautious or because of restrictions. In Florida, we see a lot of people coming here from everywhere, and at such great extreme numbers that it's not the condos that are flying. And Miami, for example, has been prepared for an influx of people via condos, but not the housing market. People, and with the coronavirus stuff, I think people want to live in homes. They want space, they want yards, they want freedom. So there is a huge inventory of condos in Miami that's just not really going anywhere, and everybody's kind of moving towards the suburbs. I hate that word for Miami because it doesn't fit a single suburb of Miami. It just feels like smaller Miamis, but everybody's moving into homes out of condos. So I still photograph a lot of condos because we work on both ends. You know, people are going to want to sell their homes because people are buying them. People are going to want to sell their condos because they want to move out. So I'm still shooting a lot of condos, but I'm also shooting a lot more homes too. So that's, I think, why I'm more busy, because the market down here is a little flip-floppy right now.
You got it. Thank you.
Cool. And Kirk, tell us real quick how you found real estate photography.
Well, in high school, I took a darkroom class, and from that point, I always knew I wanted to be involved in photography somehow. It was a hobby. When I spent most of my time doing graphic design, went to school for that, and I was doing working for a friend who was an agent doing her marketing, and I just kept seeing all of her listing photos, and I've always been interested in architecture, and so I just looked at those and thought, hey, I can do that too. So I learned everything I could about it, and here I am.
Very cool. It's funny how you kind of just fall into things sometimes. All right, so here's an interesting topic that I feel like has been brought. I've seen a couple of times this summer in different articles I've read, people saying that traditional real estate photography is kind of a dying art now that we have these amazing cameras on our phones and things like that. So I would like to hear everybody's opinion on the iPhone and real estate photography. And do you think that it's going to like take your jobs away, or what do you feel? Elizabeth, you can go first.
Well, I think the iPhone is spectacular. I have the 11 Pro. I haven't gotten the new one yet, which I definitely will soon. But I think it's a great tool. Sometimes people want to take a picture for their social media. And I feel like it's just another tool. I don't feel like it's going to take our jobs away, because the majority of people don't know how to use the phone properly. But I think that using it in addition to professional photography is definitely beneficial. And I mean, I've even, helped before and said, hey, if you want to take a picture, just don't shoot towards the window. Like, let the window light your subject, shoot this part of the room, if you wanted to put that on your Instagram story or whatever.
Yeah, Miranda, what do you think about it?
I mean, similar to what Elizabeth said, especially with helping agents, kind of giving them some tips and tricks. If they're going to use the iPhone, please use it right. Like, ask me questions. Let me help you get your verticals straight. Let me help you get the right lighting so you don't have like lights screaming into your photo, Because I do think that the iPhone's a great pocket tool for everything. Like, photography is a life skill, whether it's to photograph your kids or the food you eat or whatever it is. Like, if you're going to do it good. So I think that the iPhone's a great, and not just the iPhone. I know that there's other phones out there, but I'm an iPhone user, so I pretend like it's the only thing on the planet. It's a great tool. It's fun. It's a great way to document your life. And I don't mind sharing a few tips and tricks with my clients to help them take those social media pictures and stuff like that. But I'm a great photographer, so I'm not really worried about a phone taking my job, you know. But I do think that it's a great tool, so I can't knock it too much.
And you also mentioned, Miranda, that sometimes when there are a lot of photos required, you don't really want to, I would say, waste your images on rooms like laundry room or utility room. You would rather shoot the right space that you have talent for and let iPhone do the job for the laundry room.
Absolutely. I mean, if my agent needs 20 good MLS photos, I do not think a half bath should be one of those photos from me. So if that's the case, I'd rather show them how to take a nice photo of the laundry room or a half bath or a small closet with their iPhone. So if they want to sneak it into the MLS slideshow or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. It's got weird, it's crooked, and there's bad white balance. Like, don't be afraid to ask your photographer to learn how to take a couple little pictures, because most of us that love our job and we're really good at it, we don't really want to photograph that kind of stuff anyway, because it's not creative and doesn't like feed our creative beasts that we need to feed even through real estate photography. So a couple iPhone laundry room pictures I'm not mad at.
Kirk, do you feel the same way?
I do. I think it's a great tool, and the camera on the newest iPhones are amazing. But I don't think, I mean, I can tell when listings are shot on an iPhone, and they're pretty good, but they're not as good as what we can do through BHT. So I think that if agents should want to be doing agent stuff and let us do the photo stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, as we're kind of wrapping up, we wanted to see a few kind of noteworthy listings from you guys and any fun stories that go along with them. We know that between the three of you, you've all shot thousands of homes. So we're going to start with Elizabeth, and we have a really cool listing that she recently shot. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Oh yes, so this was at 25 East Superior, and it was a penthouse that was the owner was fascinated with anything nautical and boats. She loved boats, so she designed. She had things designed in a sort of a ship fashion or something that had to do with boats, and like even if you look at the hood, it's got fish scales. Which I thought was pretty cool. It's just a lot of like little detail kind of stuff that that you would see if you've been on like a liveaboard and things like that. The bathroom here reminded me, like it'd probably be on like the Love Boat or something like that. For any of those that would know that show.
I do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just really cool. Like they just had a lot of different unique, this is it crocodile?
Like crocodile skin or something,
Crocodile
right?
skin. I loved that powder room that had the branch. I thought that was really cool. And then again, there's the fish scales on the hood, and
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that before. That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Unique property right in the middle of downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Miranda. Miranda, I actually came across this tour when I was looking for photos to use in some marketing materials, and I was super curious what the story was behind this home, because it's so unique and so cool. You feel like you're almost like in the jungle or something, but you're right by the water. It's amazing.
This is actually one of my favorite listings that I've shot, and I've shot some pretty spectacular listings being in Miami. This is also with one of my favorite clients, and I think that I had a lot of fun here because she really lets me do my thing. Like she's like opens the door and she's like, here you go. This was a huge, beautiful home on Hibiscus Island, which if you look at this picture right now, out the window, you can see the tail of a cruise ship. It's right on the islands by the port. So it's got this beautiful like waterfront. Also has a downtown view. Every room was like a vibe. It was colorful and full of greenery, like you said, a jungle. I spent 3.5 hours here and I loved every minute of it. I felt like I was supposed to pay somebody on my way out for like allowing me to be in such a beautiful place. Like this, the bathroom, I love the little mannequins and some of the strange things that they had there. I took a lot of pictures even for my own personal portfolio in this home because I just had such a good time there.
What the staircase, look at that circular staircase. That is amazing.
Yeah, I went to a roof deck with a beautiful view of downtown. It was $28 million, so it was a nice little chunk of change. I was trying to do the math on how many houses I had to photograph to like even just get a down payment on it. But,
Oh my gosh.
this was one of my favorite ones, and I think I had sent this to you as one of my favorites, and it was just really because they left me alone to like just like wander around the house and photograph it how I wanted to, and I took some really cool like AD style photos for myself, which I love, and they don't always work for real estate, but they work for like marketing materials and stuff like that. But yeah, this was a fun one.
Very cool. All right, and then Kirk, we have some photos from you.
Oh, look
This
at
is a
that.
cool one, another cool spiral staircase.
I pulled a like sort of a handful of photos from various tours. Just I didn't have one specific tour, so this one was a really cool house. It had lots of architectural details. Like in this one was my favorite with the stairs. It had a great bathroom. The setting was also really great, just in the middle of town, but like in the middle of this clearing. So it felt like you were in the middle of nowhere. It was pretty awesome.
Such a modern setup. It's a, yeah.
Yeah. And again, this was another sort of with a modern farmhouse look this house had. So just, getting detail shots and trying to capture the space as best as possible.
I love that kitchen.
Yeah, I love the detail shots. I like, for some reason, I'm always like attracted to those.
And then this one was in the same house. It was just really, it was cool. I don't know what else to say about the photos.
Well, you enjoyed shooting it, right?
I had a great time. I always have fun. Like, after all these years, I still enjoy every single day that I'm out shooting because every house is different and you're always like trying to take the best picture of the house. So it's just, this is a night shot. I wanted to try and get some pictures so that people who don't know Iowa could look at it and go, that's Iowa.
That's what I was just going to say. That's Iowa.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one giant field. So
That's awesome. Well, those are beautiful. And
thank you.
I wouldn't necessarily think they were in Iowa. All right, let's take some questions from our audience. If anybody has questions for Miranda, Elizabeth, or Kirk, or us, please type them in the Q&A. We've got a couple here. One from Cheryl. She's asking for substantially lower priced homes or the market. What do you recommend as far as photographing things that may be a little bit like run down or vacant, just to present it the best? I don't know who wants to take that one. Miranda?
I think that when it comes to homes like that, it's still not a place to sacrifice on quality photography. It's a place to sacrifice on maybe quantity of photography. A place that's run down probably needs me more than anything. And I think it's just about coming in, looking at the home, figuring out what's the best thing about it, whether it's the yard or the front or the master bedroom or the fireplace, and really trying to, I don't like saying beat around the bush, but just show them some of the best things you can show them in 10 pictures or so and get people to come to the property. But it's not a place for iPhone photography because it's going to make it look worse. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Elizabeth, do you agree on that? I mean, it makes sense to me. Like you
Yeah,
don't wanna...
one of my favorite things to shoot is anything rundown. I love, the dilapidated buildings. I did like an old bar recently, and it had, still had like the writing on the wall, different drinks, and, just, it was kind of destroyed. But, we shot, we did a gold for that, and it just was, it really sets it apart, Like when you go through and you look at like Craigslist listings, I mean, I shoot, the gold for even rentals. And I mean, people, you'll see, it's like, oh my gosh, I rented that in under 24 hours, as opposed to it's sitting there because people just sort of, overlook it now. I think people in this age of everything being instant, it's like people want perfection immediately. I think that's what helps sells.
And the competitive market is absolutely makes the difference as well. Because competition is everywhere now.
So much. And people just don't have visions like they used to. I used to think like an empty space was fine, like, oh, it's a blank canvas. And now I'm like, actually virtual staging is really going to help this look bigger,
What about you, Kirk?
We do a lot. Like there aren't as many fabulous showplace homes, I think, as Miami or Chicago probably. So we do a lot of silver. And so even if a house is not great, professional photography is definitely going to help because we're going to be able to see it the way that it should be, that will get it sold, like to really capture that space and sort of tell the story of the house. Even tiny ones have a story.
Yeah, I believe in stories. Every property has the story, and realtor is the best storyteller with marketing strategy. If you don't mind, Kirk, please mention the difference between silver and gold, just in case if we have someone who is not working with VHT right now and they understand the difference.
The silver photography is single exposure with and without flash, and then the gold and platinum tours are 5 exposures, and that captures like the full dynamic range. You can see out every window. It really adds a lot of depth to the photos that silver just can't usually get, but silver can still be good if the lighting is right and the spaces are lit well. So it's not like the bad photography and the good photography. There's just different kinds.
It's just good photography and awesome photography and amazing photography.
Right.